Every year, more than 23,000 people for Doctors Without Borders, Medecins, or MSF, from around the world are committed to providing emergency medical care and relief supplies to millions of people in distress in nearly 65 countries. This is possible thanks to the financial support from more than 3 million individual donors worldwide. MSF is a private, non-profit humanitarian organization created in Paris in 1971 by a group of doctors and journalists. Now an international movement, MSF provides impartial help to people in need, without discrimination and independent of political powers. MSF teams provide medical assistance to people struggling to survive violence, epidemics, or natural disasters. Our work can lead us to speak out publicly.
I appeal here today to His Excellency, the Ambassador of Russia, and through him to President Yeltsin, to stop the bombing of defenseless civilians in Chechnya.
My guest today is head of Medecins.
Through the media, we highlight a crisis people are facing, mobilize other aid organizations, or draw attention to flaws in the aid system. MSF's priority is to provide humanitarian assistance to civilians caught up in armed conflict. Our teams treat the wounded and ensure that the people's essential needs are covered.
It's the only program, the only place where patients can be sure to receive treatment rapidly.
MSF teams treat cholera, organize vaccination campaigns against meningitis or measles. They provide health care to people suffering from widespread diseases like malaria, AIDS, and tuberculosis in places lacking resources, health staff, infrastructure, or suitable treatments. MSF also focuses on nutritional care, both in contexts of famine and malnutrition.
The child should gain weight very quickly, and provided he doesn't develop a secondary infection, which is of course a risk in such circumstances, he should be running around within 8 to 10 days.
We help people stricken by natural disasters such as earthquakes, hurricanes, or floods. In other projects, our patients are people excluded from society and without access to health care. Prisoners, undocumented immigrants, street children, or the homeless. To provide such a range of activities, MSF relies on multidisciplinary teams composed of medical, logistical, and administrative staff. In the 1990s, our doctors became bitterly frustrated at the lack of effective and affordable medicines for a number of widespread diseases devastating poor countries. Refusing to accept that the poorest communities can only have access to second-rate treatment, in 1999, MSF launched the campaign for Access to Essential Medicines to push governments and drug producers to make accessible treatments for AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, sleeping sickness, and other neglected diseases.
Why are we, a medical humanitarian agency, here in Seattle at the start of the ministerial meeting on trade? Because our patients are dying. Our patients are dying not because their diseases are incurable, but because as consumers, they do not provide a viable market for pharmaceutical products.
MSF is an international movement made up of 5 operational centers supported by 14 national sections. Nearly 90% of our money comes from private donors, which guarantees our ability to act independently. The other 10% comes from donor agencies. More than 80% of our funds are spent on supporting our projects in the field. 12% is used for fundraising, and 6% pays for administrative expenses. In exchange for the trust of our millions of donors, we are committed to being as transparent as possible about our accounts and the use of their money. In 1999, MSF received the Nobel Peace Prize.
I hope this Nobel Peace Prize is an acknowledgement of independent humanitarianism, free of all political and military influence.
A reward for all those who at one time or another have been committed to our organization, dedicated to independent humanitarian work. Work which demands the freedom to act and to speak out.